Harvey, that never gets old, man. I'm sorry.
It doesn't. It doesn't, man. It doesn't.
Hey, take two, and welcome back to the Cowboy Cast. Man, yesterday was a success. We really enjoyed the discourse. We enjoyed the comments, but we had to come back on and we had to answer the comments that were left on the board because they were really great questions. And then we're gonna share with you how we spend our bye weeks. So let's get right into it. So we had some interesting questions, and if you are watching this live now, and I missed, I perhaps did not get the question or the comment that you had about it, or the question that you asked us. Please chime in and let us know. But let's go ahead and roll with one of them that I think was a very good question. We're talking about linebackers in this situation right now. When we look at the Dallas Cowboys defense, I mean, there's so much to love about the defense. Harvey, let me ask you, what is the one thing that you love right now about this Cowboys defense aside from Micah Parsons?
Uh, I think the rotation. You have to go with the rotation, right?
Okay.
Um, I think you said it before too. We have rotational players that could probably start for some teams in the NFL.
I absolutely.
So that's the thing, man. You got fresh guys coming in every time, and it makes it really hard for these offenses to get going and get a rhythm with fresh guys coming in that you really don't miss a beat when it comes to the pass rush or trying to stop the run. So I think that's for me. That's what it is for real.
I'll tell you this, man. Last season, it was Trayvon Diggs and his 11 interceptions. And I'll tell you this, he has really emerged, and I think that I'm going to go out on a limb right now, and I'm going to say this: it's been a long time since the NFL has seen a true shutdown corner, and I just feel that right now, the way the defense is playing, the way Trey Diggs is playing right now, he is eventually going to make quarterbacks and offensive coordinators try to avoid throwing the ball towards his side of the field, right? Because I'll tell you this, he's looking to pick that off every single time, and he knows how to catch the ball. Harvey, do you want to chime in on anything about Trey Diggs' playing style right now?
So I think obviously he learned a lot from last year, giving up all those yards and hearing the critics and all that. And I think people have to understand when you play that position, there's different techniques and different schemes that you play when it comes to that defense, right? Because I think Jalen Ramsey had an interview and he said the same. We play different styles. You really can't say who's the best or who's that. But I think some Cowboy fans are impatient because they're like, well, he doesn't have as many picks as he did last year. Yeah, but he's not giving up yards either. So it's kind of one of those things, man. What do you want? For me, I would rather just shut somebody out and just take that half of the field away from everybody, even if you don't get the interceptions. But hey, man, he's playing very well, and I want them to throw the ball to him. To be honest, Jerry.
Yeah, me too, man. He sure does make it breathtaking when you see him just make these critical catches. Especially, he looks like a wide receiver, right? And that we all know his story. Obviously everybody knows Stephon Diggs. I mean, but he made the transition early on in his college career at Bama. He has that championship pedigree. So there's so much in Trey's favor. And then we see him making these outstanding plays. It just makes us be able to appreciate it because, at one time, I remember there was one player, man, Deion Sanders, man, Neon Deion, prime time as everybody knows him, or everybody should know him as. And I'm not saying he has prime time speed, but he is definitely gonna start making offensive coordinators and quarterbacks think twice about throwing, because it looks like everybody that's tested him this season, he's come up with those picks when they needed it. So the only thing I'm looking forward to is payday. How much money is he gonna get? Because he deserves it, man. He's a second rounder, and he's outperformed his contract at this point. So yeah, that's those are two key points that I really love about our defense. Like you said, the rotation. Dante Fowler should be playing more snaps. Sam Williams, the rookie, he shouldn't get off the field. I think the future looks bright, man. And I'm gonna go on the limb right now. I think that this defense and Dan Quinn, damn, we gotta find a way to keep Dan Quinn. But this defense has definitely reopened up that window, right? That Super Bowl window that we all were afraid, right, because of the offense. But let's get to the questions that we missed out on yesterday. There are two really awesome questions. And one of them, let's go with the linebacker one because the last one's going to be a little controversial. Uh, the linebacker one with Damone Clark's emergence, is there a log jam at linebacker? Wow. I will say this. I got to see Damone Clark play last year, and at LSU, nobody can just wear the number 18. That has to be passed down to you. Like
True.
you have to have made a name for yourself in the locker room as a leader. Aside from your athletic ability, but wow, I think even before he played, he had just got activated. I think we heard Micah Parsons talking about it. Micah Parsons saying that there's an open competition within the actual defense. Micah was clocked in at 20.5 miles per hour, and Damone Clark was clocked in at 22.15 miles per hour. And I was like, wait a minute. I mean, I didn't even expect them to see him participate in this season. I thought he was going to be on ice until the following year, kind of like that Jalen Smith type of approach. But, they kind of took that Jalen Smith of approach and they activated him. And you know what? It just so happened that Anthony Barr, who is now our starter at linebacker opposite of Leighton Vander Esch, he got hurt. And he played. The comment said it was very clear: 40 snaps. He played 40 snaps, 17 on special teams. But I saw some things that I like about Damone. What did you see, Harvey? Before we answer that question,
I think on one of the plays I saw, he's kind of like Micah, right? But what you see is can he shed blocks as they're coming up? And I think we saw that a little bit. I think he could do it, right? And he's so quick and fast. But that's the big. If those big guys get a hold of you, can you shed that block and go for the tackle? And I think he can do that. It showed it a little bit, right? But just the speed, man, the speed, right? And I think looking back, right, at what you have at Micah Parsons last year, I think they saw something and they said, you know what, this guy can play any position. But the longer that we keep him as linebacker, in the inside, either middle or whatever, he's not at the line of scrimmage going after the quarterback. So where is his strength at? His strength is in the line of going after the quarterback. So I think they did their due diligence and grabbed Damian Clark and then Harper also in the same draft, right? Um, to kind of, hey, can we hit on one of these guys? So they can maybe replace Micah and Micah could go on the edge. I think that's what they kind of had a plan. I'm not for sure, but that's what it seems like because they kind of groomed those two guys coming in. And now Clark, I don't think he was expected to start, and then Barr got hurt, and then he got some snaps. But I think I might see the plan in the future might be Micah being on the edge, and the logjam at linebacker. I think it was they did it on purpose, Jerry. Honestly.
well, and let's get to that question: is there a logjam? I mean, at this point right now, when Jabril Cox has not really played a snap yet, and last season he did. That just shows you, the rotation that they have, the packages that they're implementing. It's for a certain play style, and Damone is definitely that play style. And the one thing that we kind of briefly touched, but we didn't really go into great detail was Tristan Hill. We that was a former second round draft pick, and the Cowboys cut him 2 days ago, and a lot of us were shocked, including myself, because I thought this year I saw him kind of like starting to it looked like he was starting to turn the corner. He was looking very disruptive, but when you see exactly what Dan Quinn is looking to implement, he wants to get those big defensive tackles, right? To plug, to take on those double teams.
Yep.
free up those gaps for these linebackers just to go and attack. I think, if anything, it, it it is discouraging when we see, a young player that's starting to ascend. But in this case, we got to trust what Dan Quinn's doing, because Dan Quinn has literally every week he's put out a great product. He's put out, phenomenal performances against top notch offenses. So, damn
But
Eagles.
Jerry,
Just to give everybody an FYI, damn Eagles won 29-17, so they're 8-0 right now. But yeah, whatever.
Jerry, Tristan Hill was a Rod Marinelli guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he is a Rob Marinelli guy. He got picked up by the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what he does, how he does there. Best of luck, right? We've seen some Cowboys go out there and make some names for themselves after they leave the Cowboys, but damn, we can't be too upset. We got Osa Ozigadua, we got Quentin Bohan, right? Yeah, and then we also, like I said, we just brought in Hankins from the Raiders, and man, Hankins was actually had a relatively good game. Go watch that game. You can see some of the offensive linemen looking at each other like, man, you're supposed to help me out on that. How'd you leave me out on the limb? So it's good to see that when you're able to put out those kind of defensive tackles, it's only going to help out also like Micah, DeMarcus Lawrence, and of course the linebackers be able to shoot, attack. So at this particular moment, I will tell you this. This was an actual statement by Mike McCarthy, right? In regards, because I think the logjam, it's kind of a tough. It's I don't see it as a potential, but I'm pretty sure Cowboys front brass and coaching staff this is what I'm pretty sure they want to see more of Damone Clark out there and out and shining, right? But the thing is that he's still that was his first game. Now now he needs to adjust to the speed of the game. But this is what Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy told reporters: a number of players are nicked entering the bye week. It could not come at a better time for us. This week will be good for us to recover. He believes that linebacker Anthony Barr, right, and in parentheses hamstring, avoided major injuries. So, a lot is going to be right now. A lot is going to. There's still some sorting out to do from here until next week. We're in a bye week, so let's see how Anthony Barr can recover from that hamstring. But if not, I'll tell you this: Damone Clark, he did some nice things. Yeah, he got caught up a few times. He got caught up. He got caught up. He wasn't able to shed some blocks. You know what I mean? But you cannot deny the speed. Then they clocked him at 22.5 miles, actually chasing down Justin Fields, right? Yep. And he actually saved a touchdown. So I'll tell you this: if anything, yes, there is a little bit of a there is a little bit of a logjam at the linebacker position. So it's just gonna be taken up on these linebackers. And man, we just gotta soak it up and enjoy what we're seeing on the field, because we've never seen speed like this before. Shoot, when was the last time you saw a linebacker that you were excited like this?
No, Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor.
And that's because we have some greats: Patrick Willis, Ray Lewis. I get it, but not at this type of level, man. It's so bad that you got to think: is Micah Parsons' defense so fast that referees can't see holdings? Or
that's a great subject. That's actually something that we should just briefly touch on. I believe that that's exactly what's going on. He's so fast that I think that, sometimes you see, when somebody can actually slow it, you can see how they have their arms fully around his neck, and the ref is right next to him. I just think that at the speed that Micah's moving, I don't think these referees that have have been refs all their lives can catch it, because they haven't seen something like this before. Even Micah, it's hard to see. It's so difficult to see exactly what he brings to the field, but you can see that a lot of the plays are being diverted away from Micah, and that's the only way to keep him at bay is you got you gotta call a play going opposite with him, and they've had a lot of success with that. But I will tell you this is where we're gonna start seeing the other playmakers start stepping up. DeMarcus Lawrence, there's some things that he needs to kind of clean up. Against that Bears, man, he let Justin Fields get by him a couple times.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this: I'm pretty sure Dan Quinn. That's why he's bringing in these big space eaters on defense to help out these linebackers and not put so much pressure on them. Right? I think Micah is kind of hard on himself, a little bit too hard on himself, to be honest. Moving on, man. Let's get to this next question because this one's a very touchy situation here. I will play devil's advocate on it. The question was, is Dak the one to take the Dallas Cowboys to a Super Bowl and win it? And the reason why is, why does he struggle against top winning teams? So I guess that's a very good question, right? Because when you have a winning team, that means offenses and defenses are running on full cylinders. Now, the statistics that we actually have are pretty good. The tops in the NFL. So I'm going to go down by tiers first off, because we got to, before we answer, we want to bring that logic, right? The logic, we're not going to answer out of emotion because, we can, we've heard people just ran on, all Dak sucks. I mean, I've heard it a million times. Patrick Mahomes is actually considered a tier 1 quarterback. Lamar Jackson is considered second. So Patrick Mahomes is actually he has a winning percentage of 62.50 against top winning teams. Lamar Jackson has a 62.50 also against winning teams. Tom Brady has a 61.10% winning percentage against winning teams. Believe it or not, guys, Jimmy Garoppolo has a 56% point 50%, 56.50% winning percentage against top winning teams. And Russell Wilson, right, with his horrible year he's having, is at 54.20%. That's considered tier 1. So 50% and above clearly is a tier 1. In other words, upper echelon, a quarterback that you can really expect to put on a great performance on offense. And then we got our tier 2 package. And this is 2022. So Marcus Mariota at the top of the tier 2 package. He's at 48%. We got Aaron Rodgers at 45.6%. Jared Goff at 45.10%. Josh Allen at 44.40%. And Dakota Prescott at 42.8%. So there's a little bit of a drop off. Not big, but just enough. And then I'll go down. Tier 3, I won't say the percentages. It'll be Matt Ryan, Mitch Trubisky, Kyler Murray, Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Drew Lock. And tier 4, it's going to be Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert, Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford actually has the lowest. He's at 13.20% winning percentage against top 10 or just top winning teams in overall.
You say Derek Carr at the bottom?
No. The last one is actually Matt Stafford.
He's at the last tier, right?
Yeah, Derek Carr is tier 4. He's at 23.70%.
That's horrible. He's a Raider, right?
Yeah, he's a Raider. Oh. Yeah, he's a Raider.
Basically, fuck him.
Yeah, that sounds about right for them. I'm sorry, if you're a Raiders fan, I'm sorry, but you guys when we were out without Dak in 2020, I had Raiders Nation telling me that Cowboys suck. That was heartbreaking because we didn't have Dak, and we had the experiment of Andy Dalton and Ben DiNucci. I mean, it was a horrible year. You know what I mean? Let us soak it. Let us soak in our tears. When in those times of trouble. I will say something. There's something brewing though with the Raiders. I think there's something that might be coming out pretty soon about Derek Carr because he actually was in a press conference a little over just a day ago, and the first thing they asked him was he looked hurt playing, and he came out in the injury report with a back injury. So when I went to my Raiders source, he was saying that it was from the game prior to this game against the Saints.
Okay.
I believe it was against the Texans. They placed. I believe they played the Texans. And just to fact check that real quick, I have everything here.
So that's interesting because you have Dak at 42%, right,
Yes.
against winning teams, but you have Derek Carr at the bottom tier.
Yeah. Tier
Okay.
4.
Hmm.
I will say this. So for those that don't like Dak, we should be grateful for Dak. because
No, yeah.
I'm
And,
just
and
saying, I'm just
so
saying at that percentage, yes. But I think that when you can correlate what that question is trying to ask is why does why is it when we see Dak in the biggest stage of all, right? Like I guess one some people always want to refer back to that 49ers game, right? And then of course some bigger games last season, and even the first game of week one, when he broke his thumb, he seemed to get a struggle to find a rhythm. So this is where I'm gonna kind of ask you, Hari, because you play quarterback, so you know exactly what's going through his mind. What is it that you see Dak? I know that previously we've talked about a little bit on some of the collegiate quarterbacks. We haven't gone into depth about all of them, but no, you said something. You said something about Hendon Hooker, right? The quarterback from Tennessee. You said that it shows like they're only coaching him up on a certain thing. Do you see that in Dak? And
so
and bring that to light what I just said. What do
yeah.
you see in Hendon Hooker, and then bring that to light. What is it that it seems that they're showing them to do?
So before I start, right, I am a Dak fan from the beginning. I wanted them to draft him actually in the draft that year.
Nice.
And my brothers are like, "Hey, man," and I think it was in the fourth round, but I really didn't pay attention. I had some stuff going on. I'm like, they ain't gonna draft him. And then my brother called me and said, "Hey, man, they got your guy, Dak." I'm like, "Oh, good." Um, Obviously, he was a project to me. I didn't think he was gonna start so fast. But the problem with Dak, and I'll say this, right? He's a good player. Don't get me wrong, right? Is he going to take us to the Super Bowl? I don't know. I think it depends what's around him and what the defense looks like, which it looks pretty damn good right now, right? So they have the team to do it, and he can do it. I'm not saying, but he's not elite. I want everybody to understand that he's not an elite quarterback. Why is that? Because all right, there are certain NFL quarterbacks in this league that can throw somebody that's open and throw somebody open. Those are two different things,
There that is.
right? That's not his game.
Hmm.
You have to have a super strong running game for Dak to excel. Either that or go high tempo in order for that defense not to set up and prepare for him. I think that's the formula for Dak to go forward, especially having this defense. But yeah, remember, quarterbacks that throw people open are the elite quarterbacks. Dak, he's not that guy, and he won't take the risk of trying to throw an interception to do that. Now, once in a while you'll see it, but he's not that Josh Allen type that he'll throw somebody open. That's just the type of quarterback he is. But he's a good quarterback, but obviously elite. I don't think that's Dak's game.
I will look. This is the way I'm going to answer this question. I think that could help us win the Super Bowl, but like you said, it's just going to take all three phases, right? It's going to take defense and special teams to get us going,
Yep.
and Dak just doing his job. But you said a lot's going to rely on the running game. Can we stop the run? Can we, get the first downs? And right now, the last three games were ascending in that right direction of completing more first downs. So that's good. That's good coaching up. This is where somebody asked about Mike McCarthy. Is he the right coach for the Cowboys? I think right now he's made the right adjustments. He's keeping his job, but I will say this: if we're one and done in the off season, in the not off season, if we are one and done in the playoffs, that is when that conversation is going to be alive. And I think that at this point, Jerry Jones is a little bit on the back end you know, of his career. I'm not saying of his life, right? Because You never want to wish anything bad for anybody, but I'm just saying, you know, there's a certain age limit where you kind of like have to tap out and kind of enjoy the rest of your life, and I think that's where it's at. Got a question. What's up, Ramiro? Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Is this team a complete team for Dak? Ooh.
You know what? Obviously, talking Jerry about what I just explained, I think it would have been a complete team if they got Brandon Cooks, right?
I
But
think
obviously they couldn't. It's just too much money, right?
it was. It was.
But I think they needed that player to stretch the defense on offense.
And
I mean, it's a tough one, like I think the defense kind of overdoes it for the offense. They're so great that they kind of help them way too much. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Like
no, it does, because look at Michael Parsons last week. He scooped up the he scooped up the fumble.
Yeah.
He realized he wasn't touched, and he ran for a touchdown because I mean his eyes were wide open. He never seen such a wide open field, but he ran it in. But at what expense? He didn't give himself a rest. You know what I mean? He didn't give his teammates a rest. Now I understand a defensive player needs to take those risks when they have them. Like Trayvon Diggs, if he can get the pick and take it to the house, he needs to do it. Yeah, and the rest of the defense has to just, you know what I mean? The defense quarter has to just adjust and make sure that everybody's well rested. But
Jerry, I'm going to tell you, Jerry, this is the thing. I think everybody keeps forgetting, and I forget too, right? But James Washington, we keep forgetting about him.
we do. And Tyron Smith.
Yeah. And so I'm saying, I think with that question, is it a complete team? I think with James Washington back and Tyron Smith, yes, 100%. I really do believe that.
And look, the only reason we're saying this is it's not just because we're homers, right? Because we are homers, and so what? So what? I don't care about you. I know, I'm just kidding. I do care about everybody, but I'm just saying I don't like if you want to call me homer. But the reason why we say James Washington, Tyron Smith, we all know it. Even if he's on your team, he's going to be a top 5 left tackle. I mean, the guy he's just that powerful. He's that smart. Technique wise is perfect. I mean, basically he should become a coach after he's done with his, career, because he's done it for so long at the highest level. Then you got James Washington. James Washington's been in the league, man. He's not a rookie. So he knows the speed of the game, which is something that maybe Tolbert might be, starting to figure out. Hey, it's a little bit faster than what it was in college, right? And James Washington, we saw when, they had when the Steelers actually had a good offensive line, a healthy Ben, and a offensive coordinator that would scheme up the plays very well. Because if you look back, that offensive coordinator kind of he's kind of holding back the Steelers right now as we speak. So when we look at it, James Washington, he had a little bit of decline, and a lot of people are going to blame that on the arm of Big Ben. But the reason why we say it's a complete team is because James Washington comes in, he's going to be ready to go. He'll know what routes to run. He'll know how to set up his defensive backs and get open and make some big plays. I mean, he did it at Oklahoma State and he did it with the Steelers. Alex Lopez, does the statement made by Stephen Jones yesterday hint at an OBG signing? That's exactly what he was saying, man. At the very end, that's exactly what I thought, actually. So he says that they're open, right? They're gonna leave it open to seeing what's available. Now, I think that a lot is gonna dictate on James Washington and on how healthy he is and how fast he can pick up the offense and what kind of an impact he can make on the team. But I mean, an OBJ, what do you think he could bring, Harvey?
I'm gonna be honest, man. He kind of has an attitude, right?
That's but you got to.
Like, but does this sound like a Jerry move?
It does.
It does. If it's one person that can make somebody come to Dallas, is Jerry Jones.
Man, he's the best salesman ever.
He is, man. And to be honest, you got to think, right? When did OBJ go with the Rams?
Last season.
Right? But when? At what point?
Oh, like in the middle of the year. He was
Where-
released. He was cut by the Browns. He passed
said-
waivers.
Jerry, you said the middle, right?
Yes,
Where are we at?
in the middle of the season.
I'm just saying.
I like the puzzles that you're at.
Because this is the thing, Jerry, right? Who wants to go through OTAs? Who wants to? And I know he was injured. I got it.
Yeah.
Who wants to go through half of the season? Man, he's trying to save his body. So
I would too.
Maybe Jerry's like, hey, look at our defense. We got some key. We got the running game. We got Dak. We got CeeDee Lamb. I think you would complement this team 100%. And maybe you can go back-to-back Super Bowls, OBJ. I don't know. It's all up to you. But Jerry's the ultimate salesman, man. You never know, Jerry.
I will say this. I am open to an Odell Beckham Jr. I think that, immediately when he steps into the field, people respect him. He's people want to talk down on him for his antics and everything. I mean, but he was a young man just growing up in the league, and now he actually knows exactly. He's a consummate pro. He knows exactly how to get open. Man, the way he sets up defensive backs and he has great eye discipline. He gets a great hand-eye coordination. That's the one thing that I've always noticed about OBJ. Not only that, but he has large hands. Have you ever seen the size of his hands? Yeah. They're gigantic. So
Jerry, I remember Brandon Carr.
I was gonna say,
okay.
Looking back with Brandon Carr, that catch was a spectacular catch. We saw something like that with George Pickens, right? What makes it very exciting. It makes me upset sometimes because that's who I want the Cowboys to target. But we got Sam Williams, okay?
Oh yeah.
We got to be patient with Tolbert, but I will say this for Odell Beckham Jr. I think we are an injury on the wide receiver away from that actually happening. So right now, I think the Cowboys are going to stay put. I think they're getting confident. They're making the right adjustments on the actual play calling. They're keeping it balanced. Defense is teeing off. They're getting healthy during this bye week. So yeah, man. I mean, I think that could lead us there. If who was it? It was with the Ravens when the Ravens had a great defense.
But hey, don't get it twisted. I will bring OBJ in open arms just so everybody knows.
What number would he wear though? I think number 3 and 13 are gone. So I'm just saying, devil's advocate. But getting back to it, Trent Dilfer. I think that Dak Prescott is way better than Trent Dilfer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Trent Dilfer helped the Ravens win a Super Bowl. So yes, Dak can be it. Like you said, I don't think he's gonna quite make those spectacular Patrick Mahomes passes, but the passes that need to be made, he will make them. The thing that I wanted to add to it is what I see with Dak is he learned from the mistakes that Tony Romo would do to us. Because sometimes Tony Romo, he'd go out there and throw, he'd have a couple interceptions before halftime. And a lot of times we were forced to pass the ball all through the third and fourth quarter. And, the gaudy numbers that that Tony Romo will put up were insane sometimes. And I remember when Dak joined the team, they brought Dak's tweets they brought him to the big screen and they put him up there where he's game at Romo for throwing a pick, So I think that, when you look at Dak, I think that he plays a little bit more reserved because he doesn't want to be that quarterback to be, pushing it down the field and making the mistake that costs the game. So I think that's why a lot of the fan base is kind of torn whether they like Dak or they don't. I'll tell you this, Dak has earned my respect because I've seen him actually learn and perfect his craft and turn himself into a quarterback. He works all off season with quarterback coaches. He actually has 3 quarterback coaches. That's why you see that dance. That I wish I could share the screen with you because I'm pretty sure you can find it on your. I mean, when you text message somebody, you can find a GIF of him dancing, right? But he's not dancing. He's just practicing his torque on the velocity of his passing motion. So just to kind of round it off and just to kind of round off today's episode, Harvey, I think there's a good question. How have you spent your Dallas Cowboys bye week? I mean, is there a tradition that you have? I mean, what do you do as a Cowboys? A part of being a Cowboys Nation when the Cowboys are not playing, man. It's not the same, man. You know what I mean?
It's not. So what I do is I light my candles so all the
Okay.
rest of the NFC East loses.
Okay.
We call it La Vela, right?
Yeah, prende la vela. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
No, man. Honestly, I kind of look at. I try to rewatch some games to see
Okay.
like maybe what adjustments we've made before, who's playing good. Kind of because sometimes you watch the game and you can't see everybody.
For
So
sure.
so I kind of go back and watch certain players specifically on every play. Um, and then just like I said, man, try to watch the NFC East lose since we're not playing right, and then and just watch other teams that we're actually going to play for the rest of the year, and see how they're playing and what they're doing, and see how we can match up with them as far as the rest of the season goes. That's pretty much what you do. Eat some tacos, barbecue. That's pretty much it, Jerry.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You know what? I'll share mine with you and anybody that's interested in the space, right, of getting into content creation. I encourage you to maybe take this opportunity to do that. Hold on, we got Ramiro chiming in with Clark playing 40 snaps at linebacker. Is there a logjam? Damn, we answered that question, but
We
we're
did.
gonna we're gonna revise it though. We're gonna go ahead and just real quick before we end it. Right now, Mike McCarthy says that Anthony Barr was able to avoid a serious hamstring injury. And so right now, I think that injury really propelled Damone Clark to see the field a little bit earlier than what everybody expected. I'm pretty sure there was some design plays. When you look around the league, you start realizing that there's 15 scripted plays on the first half, and there's about 8 to 10 scripted plays on the second half of the quarters, right? So I think that they were going to find a way to see what Damone was able to do, but man, what we saw was lights out. I think that what he did was he set the bar very high for the linebacking group, and I think that if Anthony Barr doesn't get back healthy, I think that he's kind of already separated his way out. I mean, he saved that Justin Fields touchdown, and I think they clocked him at 22.5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's insane, man. I think that's Tyreek Hill speed right there. And that was just something that we saw on Twitter when we saw Micah say that he's competing against Damone Clark. And so I'll tell you this, it's definitely something exciting to see, right? Because we talked about what we're seeing on defense, and I think that going forward, I think Damone has really carved a spot for him on this defense, especially if you look at the release of Tristan Hill and the trade acquisition of Hankins, and you got Bohanna and Hankins. Those are space eaters that's going to allow your linebackers just to shoot the gap. So I think for Damone Clark, I think he didn't create no logjam. I think he's creating he's creating his own path, his own gap, right? And I think the one that needs to step up right now is Jabril Cox.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean he played well. He was highly touted out of high school. LSU, he did great. Don't tell me the star is too big for you, Jabril.
No.
Who would you take on a 40-yard dash, Clark or Parsons? Man, give me at this point, give me Clark, man.
You say that, but I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna give my boy Parsons the edge.
Oh man, that was so fun.
He was tired, Jerry.
Hey, that was so fun to see him against Tyreek Hill, Nick Chubb, and who was the other running back? And it was during the Pro Bowl,
The Pro Bowl, yeah.
and he beat everybody.
He beat everybody. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll take Parsons. He was tired in the field. Clark came out. He was fresh. So I'll give it to my boy Parsons.
But 22 miles per hour, wow.
But
Man, I tell you this, guys, this defense is exciting, man. It's exciting. Alex, Cowboys defense is still struggling to stop the run. Bears had over 200 yards rushing on them. what needs to change. Well, I think that they've already made those changes.
Yep.
Uh, bringing in Hankins and cutting Tristan Hill. I was kind of saying like, man, it kind of looked like Tristan Hill was starting to turn the page, but dang, I think with Hankins and with Bohanna and Hankins, I think that right there, they're gonna eat up double teams.
Gallimore too.
Yeah,
Gallimore.
you still got Neville Gallimore too. But I think right now the way that it's rotating is, I think that that's what they've done to address the this Russian attack. I think that Damone Clark, we saw some good things and we saw some bad things. So it's kind of hard to put so much pressure on a linebacker that's coming in like in the middle of the season, and hopefully he'll be the savior. But right now, Leighton Vander Esch has been putting up some stats, so I think they're definitely addressing that by the acquisitions and the releases of what they've done on the defensive line. So we're gonna have to see though, and it's gonna wait. We're gonna take this by week basis, right? Luckily, we have a bye week this week. Let's Hankins to get up to speed, and it allows Clark to get up to speed. Let's just see if Barr is gonna be healthy enough to get back in the field. I know that at times I've seen Barr kind of make some big mistakes for him being in the league for what 7 years now,
Yeah.
7 seasons now. I mean,
I-
it's unfortunate, man.
Honestly, Jerry, I think it was all design. They
It
got
is.
Hankins, they got Clark back. I think they want that type of linebackers that's going to step up really quick and fill the hole. LVE's playing good, but he's
Yes.
not stepping into that hole as fast as he should sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think Damian Clark gives you that, although he's still raw, right? But I think he gives you that kind of speed and kind of Micah Parsons agility and all that. So I think they made that move for a reason. Both of those moves.
Hey,
Um,
what is that one thing that they cloned Michael Parsons? Because if you look at Sam Williams and Michael Parsons facially, they look
Yeah.
identical, man, and they play identical, right? Like that,
so
100
do we
miles an hour. You know what I mean?
so do we have quadruplets in the defense with
Well,
Sam Williams, Parsons, Clark, and Trayvon Diggs?
it's kind of hard, man. I think I liking what I'm seeing with Clark, but I think with Clark, I think he's gonna play more of that traditional linebacker.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think I think for the future, what we're gonna try to see, what we'll see is we're gonna start to see more of a kind of like a 3-4 look. But I think that they're expecting. I think also just to add from what I've read, they're allowing Jabril Cox to get fully healthy because he also tore his ACL.
yeah. Correct.
So this is all good news, and it's all very exciting. But right now, I think that this is all that we have been able to observe right now is how they're addressing these little things as we try to make our run towards, not only the playoffs, but past the playoffs into the conference championship and into the actual Super Bowl. So every year is our year in Cowboys Nation. You
Always.
get that straight, man. But just to kind of finish it and round off the tonight's great show, what I usually do during the bye week, I usually I take a look at okay, what the remainder of our schedule looks like, so I know what teams are left, and then from there I prioritize. Okay, well, we're gonna play this team first, this. So usually, if I cannot have access to that actual game, I will make sure I tune in and I check out Red Zone, obviously it allows me to get a really good feel for teams and what they do, what kind of drive, what kind of moxie they have to get and score that touchdown. If not, it gives you a big picture when you're looking at all the statistics of what teams are doing, right? If they're having a hard time punching it in and whatnot. So I encourage anybody that's looking to get into content creation. You got to be able to compare the stats to what you see on your film, and yeah, go out there and subscribe to the All 22 if you can. That's what the NFL offers, and you can go back and replay and watch some of those games. If not, you can actually YouTube and watch a lot of these games compressed. Every scoring drive, even when the defense steps up, you see that. You can see a movie. I mean, you can see a movie. You can see a game in 12 minutes compressed into 12 minutes with no commercials and whatnot. and you can get caught up onto seeing what teams are doing and compare it. So we never want to compare our team to anybody, right? Because we have the best team. But that's it for us tonight, man. Harvey, anything else before we sign off?
Man, I hate this. I hate it. It's a bye week.
It's a bye week, man.
Bye week.
We got the Packers coming up, man. So
we'll see what happens.
Maybe we could do a kickoff show. If you guys like a kickoff show and you guys catch this on the rerun or on the replay, let us know in the comments below, man. We'll answer the comments. Right now, when you're live stream, the live stream it has it, and you can see the comments as they're brought up on the actual stream. But if you're watching this on let's say a later on date, you just comment just right below and let us know if you want to see kickoff shows, man. We could do kickoff shows too, where we just talking about the Cowboys and I mean, shoot, I could get you the inactives, the actives as fast as I can get them. So if you want to hear about that stuff, please do that. Of course, share this with as many people as you know. Always, if you're watching for the first time, subscribe and like. Turn on all the notifications. You turn on the notifications, it'll tell you that we went live. Thank you all so much, and